Hey guys, Brady Briggs here for another episode of the Combat Logic. Today we're gonna go over UFC 269, preview to it. Today is Tyler's birthday, so it'll be just me today. If y'all wish him a happy birthday, we'd both appreciate that. This is a really big card, just like last weekend was. So starting out the first fight on the early prelims, Jillian Robertson and Priscilla Correia, which is a good fight. I'm pretty sure Priscilla is coming off 2 wins after losing her first three. Yeah, two knockout wins after losing her first 3 UFC fights. And Robertson lost her last 2, and I'm hoping she can get back on the win track. She's a lot better than her record says. Randy Costa and Tony Kelly in the second fight. Man, I love watching Randy Costa fight. He's so fun to watch. I hope he worked on going past the first round, because we've seen him go past the first round in his career twice. He lost both of those fights in round 2. It's very evident he doesn't like going past 5 minutes. I hope he worked on that. I hope his striking is so slick. It's so fun to watch. I love Randy Costa, man. We almost never got to see his career at all. Like, it almost stopped before it even started. Then, like, after a few years, he finally, was able to turn pro after so many canceled bouts and injuries and a friend dying, and there's a lot of shit. Listen to his story. It's pretty good. And watch his fight with Adrian Yanez if you don't know who he is. And his 2 knockouts before that, man, Randy Costa's the man. I love him. Ryan Hall is fighting Derrick Minner in the next fight. This is going to be a good fight. Derrick Minner is a very good grappler. He's been submitted a number of times, but he's also got a number of submission victories. He's got underrated boxing. Hall is one of the best jiu-jitsu guys in the whole sport, and he's got underrated, taekwondo, I would say. I mean, he's not ranked in it or anything, but he's got a taekwondo-y kind of striking style. And if you watch his fight with Darren Elkins, he was landing spinning wheel kicks at will on him. So this should be interesting. He just got knocked out in his last fight by Ilia Topuria, so hopefully he can rebound. And we got Alex Perez versus Matt Schnell in the 4th fight of the night. Man, this is on the early prelims. It was such a great fight. Alex Perez is very, very talented, and so is Matt Schnell. Let's see, Aaron Blanchfield and Miranda Maverick. Let's go, Miranda. She'll be able to get back on the winning track after that terrible, terrible, terrible decision loss to Macy Barber. Andre Muniz, for those of y'all don't know, is the guy that just submitted Jacare with an armbar over the summer or spring maybe. And he's fighting Eric Anders. He's probably going to win that fight. All right. Starting out the preliminary card, Jordan Wright and Bruno Silva. This should be interesting. I like watching Jordan Wright. He's got very, very good traditional skills. He is a Taekwondo black belt or some sort of karate black belt. He's got Anthony Hardonk as his MMA coach or striking coach, which, dude, Anthony Hardonk is a legit kickboxer. He's such a good kickboxer. He's one of the best at it for a long time. And Wright is 12-1. He rebounded from his loss to Joaquin Buckley with a knockout in his last fight. I hope he wins, because he is super fun to watch. Augusto Sakai is fighting Tai Tuivasa. Fuck, this is a bangers fight. I think Tai Tuivasa is probably going to take it. This dude is so talented. But Augusto Sakai is pretty talented too, man. Watch out for this one. No, this next one I really thought was going to headline the prelims, but it's going to co-headline the prelims. Dominick Cruz versus Pedro Munoz. I really hope Cruz can win this fight. He's the only fighter I have a poster of in my house. I love Dominick Cruz. I admire the shit out of him. I think he's an absolutely brilliant person with an unparalleled, unparalleled ability to self-evaluate. He just thinks of things through every perspective, and he's the type of person that says things need to be said, whether you want to hear it or not. I'm like that too. I appreciate people like that, because most people are fake as fuck today in 2021. So anyways, as long as he can stay away from the leg kicks of Pedro Munoz, because Munoz has pretty good leg kicks. If he can stay away from those, I think The fight is his to win. But if he can't, it might be a rough night for him. Because if Pedro can land those leg kicks, Dom's going to be a little more stationary, and then he's going to be able to land his boxing. And Pedro can box very well. Josh Emmett and Dan Ige is headlining the preliminary card. And this is super cool because we finally get to see Josh Emmett come back. That's fucking awesome, dude. He is not getting any younger. So we saw him beat Shane Burgos like, fuck, I don't even know when. A year and a half ago in June of 2020. He is now 37, 36 years old. He's fighting Dan Ige, so that's going to be a good fight. They're both very good strikers. Emmett has the wrestling. Ige has pretty damn good wrestling too, though. And he's got really good jiu-jitsu, as we all know. Paulion Paiva and Sean O'Malley is opening up the main card. This is great. Paiva has done very well recently, winning his last 3 straight. Moving up to bantamweight in his last fight to beat Kyler Phillips. That's not a fight any of us thought he was going to win. He did so well in that fight. We all thought Phillips was going to beat him, but he didn't. And now he's fighting Sean O'Malley. It's going to be a good fight because Paiva is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's got good striking himself. The man a lot of us wanted to see Sean O'Malley fight is fighting in the next fight. Cody Garbrandt is making his flyweight debut to fight Kai Kara France. And man, this is another bangers fight, man. Like, I think one of these two might get knocked out. How does Cody do at 125? Does it look like TJ? Does he suck too much water out of his brain? And as soon as he gets clipped, he gets hurt? We'll see. I think that Kai might be a little bit more well-rounded of a striker. But I think Cody can make up for that with his boxing. And he's got some good kicks to go along with it too. He's got a wrestling background that he never uses. He might need that in this fight because Kai is for real. Jeff Neal's fighting Santiago Ponzinibbio. This is a really good fight. Neal, I think, has lost his last 2 fights, man. He did open up his UFC career 5-0 with 4 finishes, and one of those was knocking out Mike Perry in 90 seconds. That was super impressive. But yeah, he lost to Stephen Thompson and Neil Magny in his last 2 fights. And he needs a win while Ponzinibbio is coming off a win over Miguel Beza. He returned in January to get knocked out by Li Jingyuling, and he came back to fight Miguel Beza. He was getting his ass beat in the first round of that fight, but he came back and won the second and third rounds. So very, very solid veteran there. Co-main event, we got Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena. Some people think Pena has a chance in this fight. I don't get it. When was it? 8 years ago, 7 years ago, when she was on The Ultimate Fighter, 6 years ago, whatever. When Juliana was on The Ultimate Fighter, I thought that she was a future champion, or at least like one of the very best in her weight class, and consistently up there with the champion. But since her career has played out, I mean, I was wrong. She is fighting for the belt, but she's not going to beat Amanda. Let's be honest with ourselves here. Yeah, let's just be honest with ourselves here. And the way Pena is saying that Amanda is scared to fight her and she was always running from her and all this, it's like, Juliana, you never were able to get a serious win streak going. So why would she want to fight you? Even now, you're on a 1-fight win streak. You just got submitted by a pro kickboxer that had never submitted anyone in her life in your second to last fight. And then in your last fight, you got out wrestled the entire time until you pulled out a submission in round 3. So I'm not saying that she's a bad fighter by any stretch. Juliana is great, Juliana's very good. Amanda is great. And then the main event, Charles Oliveira and Dustin Poirier. Man, this is such a great fight to cap it off. Not just because it's for a title, but dude, these two could have fought like on their way up, Poirier, let's see. How can I describe this fight? Poirier has gone 8-1 with a no contest since losing to Michael Johnson back in 2016. That no contest was avenged. And honestly, it was to Eddie Alvarez. He would have won that fight too. He was beating the shit out of him. Yeah, dude. Like, and look at these names. Jim Miller, Anthony Pettis, WEC and UFC champion. Dustin Ige, World Series of Fighting champion. Eddie Alvarez, Bellator and UFC champion. Max Holloway, UFC champion. Dan Hooker, pro kickboxer. Conor McGregor, champ. And Cage Warriors and the UFC. Those are his last wins, improving his record 28-6. And Oliveira has gone 9-0 in his last 9, I think. Yes, he has. He's won his last 9 straight with 8 finishes over Clay Guida, Christos Giagos, Jim Miller, David Tamer, who's a 39-1 pro kickboxer that he absolutely beat the fuck out of on the feet. Not many people realize that. This was right before his first and second knockout in the UFC, but this was really where his striking started to come into play. Nick Lentz in their trilogy, Jared Gooden, Kevin Lee, Tony Ferguson, and Michael Chandler. So, this is crazy. Oliveira has the record for the most submission wins in UFC history with 14, and he just broke the record for the most finishes in UFC history in his last fight when he claimed the belt with 17. A lot of people think Poirier is going to win this fight, and he very well may, but y'all can't be counting out Charlie Olives, man. That he's so talented. He's so dangerous. If Khabib didn't retire, Charles Oliveira might have actually been the guy to beat him. Okay. As good as he is off his back. But then again, when guys like Paul Felder were able to stand his guard and pound him out, it's hard to say. This isn't the Charles Oliveira that fought Paul Felder, though. We saw that in his last fight. He almost got knocked out. Aside from getting knocked out, he almost quit. And he didn't. He didn't quit. He came back and knocked Michael Chandler out in the next round of his last fight to claim the belt. So I think he's grown a lot. I think they've both grown a lot. And this is a very clear fight between the number 1 and number 2 or 3 lightweights in the world. The only one I would put in there, actually 2, Justin Gaethje and Islam Makhachev. They deserve a mention as the best. But yeah, what do you guys think? How do you think this main event's going to go? Most people are picking Poirier that I see, but y'all are forgetting Charles can crack too, and he is the most dangerous offensive submission guy in UFC history. He has more submission attempts than anyone in UFC history. He has more submission finishes than anyone in UFC history. He has more finishes in general than anyone in UFC history. And he's a UFC lightweight champion. Does he defend his belt for the first time this weekend?